We'll talk a bit more about the players as we begin the game here on Lightshade. Starting over here in the top left-hand side of the map, we have the red Terran player from Storm Gaming. He is MaSa, one true Maru.
And spawning over in the bottom right-hand side on Lightshade, representing Root, it is DisK. One of the big questions going into this series for me, because MaSa's been here before. Like, he's kind of done it all. But for DisK, getting this far, like this, he's looking at this as somebody that he absolutely can beat, but it is always tough taking that next step.
I think DisK is coming from such an interesting place because even though a lot of people, and I'm not going to paint him as being like as old school of a player as MaSa by any means. MaSa has been around since like 2011, 2012 era of StarCraft 2, but DisK has been around a lot longer than most people probably give him credit for. He was there playing in a lot of the random NA like at tournaments and those smaller kind of events, not maybe making as deep of a run. Back in even like 2016, he was playing in qualifiers for Challenger, I believe, even back in like maybe 2015 or so. So he's actually been around in StarCraft for a while. And I would actually say, if you asked me about DisK maybe like a year to a year and a half ago, I would be like, yeah, he's got a really excellent stream. He's actually, I think I almost started putting him more in that category of he's become more of a streamer than like a player. But I really think that these recent results for the past like 2 seasons of DreamHack have really started changing my mind on that.
I'm always looking at the players and the webcams when they're playing. And one thing I'm seeing from DisK is he's very animated. Like he saw this engineering bait here on full health and he visibly flinched and was like, damn, I let that happen kind of thing. Because he did search around for a proxy with his initial probe. And that already made me go like, oh, is he like... Because most people, you know, when Zergs get hatch blocked, it's almost like, oh, well, obviously I'm going to take that other base. So the fact that he reacted like that and is doing what he's doing, this is definitely a good opening for MaSa.
Yep. Is going to have a really, really nice start over here. DisK finally throws down that Nexus as he also gets up his Stargate behind it. But MaSa, the Terran player, having a head start on the command center is definitely going to be a nice spot for him. He's going to be pretty happy with just knowing that he's gotten in DisK's head, because that is MaSa's playstyle. MaSa is the epitome of everything that Showtime or Soul was doing to Showtime. He gets in your head. He tries to mess with you. He's the guy who will try to do like the 7th level mind game with someone, and he'll like fool Scarlet and players like that with that. And speaking of which, we got a proxy starport over here.
Yeah, that Zealot, like, if only he could look up, Ravi, because he would have seen that starport building just above his head there. But yeah, this opening from DisK, I'm actually not used to seeing him go Oracle. Like, he's always in my head whenever I played him on ladder. Granted, it's been some time, but he loved his Blink Stalkers, man, and he was super good with them. But this game, MaSa, like, he's obviously coming over to this natural, but you delayed that bad boy. Now you kind of revealed your Hellions, and DisK can kind of be like, oh, so that's what you've gone for, right? Making his life a bit easier.
Yeah, and we actually see that DisK is not even transferring his workers down immediately as that Nexus is finished up. He waits a little bit until he has some more units out. There is going to be that medevac coming on forward, and even brought or still has the SCV over there from finishing off that starport. So he's going to repair up his Hellions. I actually really like that.
It was definitely a nice use of keeping the SCV there. You're totally right. I guess also, given that he knows an Adept's on the map, or he thought one was on the map, sending that SCV home from that angle at this time, maybe it was a bit like, I could give the game away a little bit, so doubly smart by MaSa.
Well, Hellion drop is going to be coming on forward, but the Oracle did stay at home for quite a bit of time. It looks like it may have just left, actually, at the worst possible moment, but it's going to be heading on back to help out with this Hellion drop. Hellion drop does have enough to one-shot the workers through the shield battery, and we are seeing a handful of these workers already getting picked off, even with the one that was picked up by the Phoenix, which does get cleaned up by the Adepts, but the other Hellions going over the natural.
Whoa, that was a big pileup of those probes, and this Oracle still got energy to deal damage, picks up the one that he was shooting at, and these Hellions, actually, all things said and done, I think MaSa was looking for a bit more from that.
Yeah.
But the indirect damage from the early game, we can't forget about that. Like that engineering bay block, MaSa's definitely ahead in this game.
Yeah, I think even though he only killed 6 workers, which you could straight up just argue and be like, oh, well, it's 6 workers. It cost of like the workers is 8 workers for the 4 Hellions and the medevac as well. It definitely hurts, but yeah, the mining time, the earlier game damage, the pickoff potentially on the Oracle, nice lift up with the Phoenix. Doesn't even take too much damage on the Phoenix either. So yeah, just we'll at least get out of there okay.
Yeah, that could have went a lot worse. It was a nice pickup for him to disable that lock on and get away. MaSa going up to 3 CC rather quickly. I like it from him because that isn't exactly what I expected from him. And did DisK spot it? No, but he is running in for a second attempt here. And oh, that poor Oracle. That was risky.
That is a really, really nice snag there. The Phoenix are still going to be around and kind of picking away potentially at some SCVs whenever they can find opportunity. And he's still making more Phoenix as well. But the Oracle really does provide a bit of extra vision, the ability to throw out those revelations, the ability to just kind of be out there and know that the Oracle can provide so much more utility. It kind of sucks to lose that.
I mean, it super sucks to lose that, yeah. And I mean, he still doesn't quite know what he's up against. So he hasn't been chrono boosting out probes as maybe like he should have, because that worker count is still very even between them, which is that's weird to say.
It's really not supposed to be like that at this point in the TVP. Usually the Protoss player should at least be like 5 to maybe more workers ahead. Like
10 maybe at this point. Like very often I hit 46 workers when the Protoss at 60, and it's not all that bad. MaSa, he's got a pretty big army. And he's also got that third floating over. And you can see from the supply, like the Terran being ahead while being on 3 bases now, it's definitely going to be problematic for DisK.
Medevac may be a little bit more vulnerable. No, nice use of the boost to get the Medevac back into position and protected by the Marines and everything. But DisK definitely knows that this is coming across the map, and he has his charge finishing up in time. He will have a very, very critical upgrade to try and help defend against this little push-in. And the Phoenix are even keeping an eye out on what angle these units are going to try and hit their big attack from, especially important with the siege tank there. But as I say that, I'm going to say there's maybe an opportunity to get in range of the Nexus, but I think that, yeah, MaSa's realizing, oh, maybe I don't want to be here right now.
This is a decent pickup by DisK, but MaSa's seeing this amount of units. I feel he can just run back all the way home and actually be totally fine, because this army is not a high-tech army at all. And DisK, he's basically all in with this. He's down to 49 SCVs or 49 probes.
Yeah, the Widow Mine's going to be pretty big over here as we get both of the Widow Mines hitting on a majority of the Zealots. It takes away a lot of the firepower there of DisK, but it's worth mentioning that MaSa lead out a lot of those Marines in the process. A lot of his supply lead is actually in workers right now, but he's doing a great job kiting back, taking care of those Zealots. Needs to get back down the ramp, but the force field is actually going to prevent him from getting down to try and take out some of those units. There's just not enough firepower here from DisK to actually do a lot to the mineral in the process, though.
This game, it's a bit of a disaster, honestly. Like, this is a super disaster. Like, DisK, as I said, he's super all in with this. Like, he's not got a Robo Bay. He's getting a Templar Archives behind this. He's actually going to be behind in upgrades if this game goes on longer as well. And where is he still losing these probes? This is a Widow Mine dropping his main base. It is dealing lots of damages, MaSa.
Well, at least the Widow Mine will get cleaned up over there, as I guess an armory is not finished up quite yet. But another Widow Mine drop coming over the third base. Even if this gets 0 workers, and I love that MaSa is good enough to just pick up the Widow Mines and head over to another base. But even if it doesn't get anything, just literally the mining time denied is brutal right now, given how bad DisK's economy already is.
Yeah, like DisK is doing the little things here, like the splits and stuff on the probes, but he's got more than a mountain to climb, and having such a bad early game, MaSa he's running away with this one.
Widow Mines have plenty of time to set up, and a big Widow Mine line is allowing MaSa to just kind of retreat back very, very safely whenever he wants to. He's trying to focus fire down the Observer. He actually ends up getting it as well. That's going to make it even harder to actually try and charge forward into the Widow Mines right now. There's still a few that have not been set off. Now, there aren't a lot of reinforcements headed this way, so I think that MaSa might have to back off soon, but oh man, these Widow Mines, one more, if it just gets on top of one of those sentries or something, I think a lot of units are going to go down here. There we go.
Yeah,
oh,
I mean,
oh my god.
It's like a fireworks show. It really is.
Yeah. He's back with some more units, by the way. He's just ready to snipe off whatever units he can. Saw the High Templar, weren't quite able to get it. Turns into an Archon just in the nick of time.
God.
But Widow Mines kill more workers during the process of this. Even though the cannon will clean up some of those Widow Mines, DisK is still... He's evacuating from Widow Mines that didn't even have a chance to burrow. Like, this is brutal.
This is definitely one of those games where after this, I kind of want to change my prediction, Ravi. Like, MaSa's actually playing really damn well. It's got to be said.
Yeah, I am in full agreement with you there, Ben. And this is sort of what you get with MaSa sometimes. Sometimes he's playing unbelievable well, and sometimes he does have this sort of flopper series, but this is definitely not one of them, it looks like. So MaSa continues to charge on forward. The Widow Mines are finally starting to get cleaned up. Ladies and gentlemen, we can look at the supply. We know that basically right now a 60 supply lead is not supposed to be the case in this matchup at this point.
No, and like behind in every possible way. I mean, okay, MaSa might have had like 40 or so SCVs on that third base because he's up 86. So, you know, not the cleanest, but all the aggro has been insanely clean. And DisK, just right from the get-go, that engineering bay block, it really threw him off, man. Like, if you know that kind of stuff's going to throw you off so hard, like, you have to be... Your alternative plan has to be way more thought out, and you can't just get thrown off by somebody blocking you with an engineering bay.
Yeah, this is... it's going to be really tough. I almost feel like, Ben, and you'll probably have a lot of fuss on this, but this is turning into one of those games where I'm like, oh man, I feel like the longer that this game goes on, it's probably the more frustrating and less fun it is for DisK to play. And
Absolutely.
There's a part of me that's just like, just tap out DisK. Like, you're just gonna make things worse for yourself in the next game.
Yeah, I mean, like, fortunately for DisK, he sees this RV. He doesn't know what's happening on the other side of the map, which is kind of like a blessing.
Yeah.
Because we know that MaSa is up to 91 workers now. He's still making workers.
Yeah. That is true. I mean, if you looked at just the screenshot over here, it wouldn't look so bad. Just the screenshot without like the overlay and stuff. It'd be like, yeah, MaSa has a decent sized army. Then you see him unloading in the main base. So like, oh man, that was a really good move there from MaSa, but we can see that it's just everything that's behind all of this that's putting MaSa ahead.
MaSa isn't even mining from his natural. Like, there's a bunch of SCVs. Yeah, they've just been following this guy for like a lot of the game, actually. And on his third and fourth, he's got way oversaturated, like 25 plus SCVs on both bases. So, I mean, the macro part at home, definitely messy. But yeah, and I mean, maybe that's why this game feels closer than the supply suggests, just because Ravi, this is wonderful.
This is I mean, this is just straight up what you get with MaSa, man. This is why I enjoy watching him. He makes things interesting for sure. Now, Widow Mines are gonna blow up on those Zealots. Once the Zealots are gone, even with the shield battery overcharge, you're gonna see that this is gonna be a very, very tough fight. I think this might actually start to become the moment DisK is realizing, if I just don't have any units left over, there's not a whole lot I can do anymore. Stalker is getting focus fire down. Immortal retreating for its dear life. And there it is. MaSa takes the first game in a absolutely stellar fashion.
You say stellar fashion. He had no chance of losing that game at any point. I can't believe he went up to 95 SCVs. And he wasn't even...
Yeah, he wasn't even mining with 20 of them.
He wasn't even mining with 20 of them. Yeah. Like, 2 of his bases had 25 and 27 SCVs at them on the minerals alone. But yeah, he won. He won pretty easily. And he's probably thinking, like, maybe he looks at the game afterwards. He's like, oh, whoa, I didn't know I made that many. And
oh, this isn't even my final form. Oh, I didn't realize.
Yeah, what a funny game to start things off. I do hope that DisK has... the ability to get, like, to be wipe it clean, just to get on with the game, the next game, that is, just start from a clean slate, because just watching him and MaSa in the webcam, MaSa looked cool, calm, and calculated. DisK was just, he looked like a nervous wreck all the way through. And I know that isn't, like, truly the way that he's going to play and stuff, but needs to calm down. Like, needs to calm down. Like, he's got the first loss out of the way. It wasn't the best loss indeed, but yeah, just needs to few deep breaths here, few deep breaths, because he's making me nervous.
Yeah, I definitely interested to see how DisK's play is going to be in this next game. If he can rally after that loss, that's definitely going to be a testament to how strong of a player he's become and how much he's grown as a player. But this is going to be a big ask for him. It's definitely a lot of pressure for him. This is one of the furthest he's really made it in any of these DreamHack events. So I know that this also just means a lot to him. Not just as, oh, I'm a streamer and this is good for my brain. No, like this is a competitor. He really, really does want to become one of those top NA names.
Absolutely, absolutely. And speaking of the man, spawning over in the top right-hand side of Oxide is DisK.
And down in the opposite end, we have our red Terran player from Psystorm Gaming, currently up 1-0. He is MaSa.
MaSa's playstyle that game kind of reminded me of when you sometimes load up a map and you're like, how fast can I mine out the whole map? And you're like making that many workers, Oh, look at this. This isn't the first time we've seen this today as well, this proxy location. I wonder if this is going to start becoming a thing on Oxide.
I feel like we've already seen it at least a few times now this season from Terran players. So yeah, Ben, I'm with you. And well, DisK is going to move across the map. He's going to scout out and see that there's no barracks. And I wonder, Ben, to exactly your point, does he send out a probe immediately and scout that location?
Mate, did you see his face upon realizing what's happening? Oh,
I missed it.
He's tilting his head. He's shaking his head like, this is a man that came to this series knowing who he's up against and stuff, but I don't know. He's not comfortable at all. Just everything about him is, I don't know. Because I know DisK is good, and I know he can be very good, very solid, but this is definitely a man that's under stress, but not really by anything but himself. It's worrisome. It's worrisome.
I think MaSa is one of the worst kind of players to play against if you are feeling that way. And it's not just because MaSa can he's a good player and all that stuff. It's more that if you're playing against someone who's just a macro lad and will go into the mid game and play super duper standard and stuff, you can at least get to play your game. When you're feeling off already before the series starts and then everything your opponent does is throwing you off even more, it's brutal. Oh my God. To Muslim, turn off the stream. I can't watch it anymore, man. This is brutal.
If that bunker went up as well, that would have been so brutal. But the Adepts over there is going to make sure that bunker doesn't finish up. But now it's 2 Reapers in the main. Ravi, hold my hand. This is not pretty at all. And this is just brutal, man, in every way, shape, and form. And DisK is laughing away to himself. I don't want to be mean, but he's defeated himself this series, Ravi.
I just want to give him a hug, man. Honestly, this is it's really, really tough, and it really is just like I call the DDR effect, where things you didn't feel super strong at the beginning, but then things go really. Oh my God, he sent another SCV across the map to finish the bunker because it was just sitting there. And
this Adept has.
Oh, this is nice.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit of damage, isn't it? But this SCV just repairing it.
Kill the Zealot.
This ain't good, man. Where's that Cyclone? Okay, there is a Cyclone out for MaSa. I'm painting this. Oh my goodness. All right.
The Stalker isn't even out yet. He's gonna get the Zealot, and then he's just gonna have to go probes again. He's gonna salvage the bunker in time.
Yeah. This is brutal, man. This is brutal. Look at that resources lost tab. And I mean, it's not as if MaSa's playing super fluid. He didn't go for a wall off here. And he's at 29 out of 54 supplies, so he kind of overmade depots as well by the looks of it. But in fact, is MaSa on 3cc now? He's going up to 3cc. Yeah, he's going for the mine out the map strat again.
Ben, it's really, really tough to go up against MaSa when you're already not feeling good. He gets in your head. His entire game plan is oftentimes throwing you off your game plan. And it sucks, especially on a big stage and stuff, because I do think MaSa is one of those players that when he is playing well, he makes his opponents look bad. Because the stuff he does is kind of out there and he throws you off your game, so you are not playing your best version of StarCraft. And that feels even worse when you're sitting there as a player and you're thinking, God, all the people are watching me and I just lost 3 workers or 4 workers to the Reaper and just everything's going wrong. Like, it is just one of the worst players to go up against if you're feeling that way.
Ravi, you are such a sweetheart. And you are absolutely right. When you play against somebody that is doing this, they can make you look really bad. But a lot of why this is happening to DisK isn't necessarily just because of MaSa. Like, this is just seeing how he was reacting to a lot of these things going on. It just, it's kind of like the kid that does his homework and then goes to the test, right? And it's like, the first question, it's already like, oh my God, I didn't study for that. And it's like thrown them totally off guard. It felt like that's how things started off for DisK. And then instead of like realizing, oh, well, question 2 is fine, question 3 is fine, going along, it was just like, oh my God, that question 1, it really owned me. Like, I never prepared. And it's just, yeah, it's brutal.
Man, I'm really hoping that DisK can kind of like recenter himself, rebalance himself. He has this little bit of time where there's not exactly going to be a lot of harassment headed his way. There's no medevacs out on the map. There's no stim or anything. He at least has some time that he just gets to sit, breathe, try and macro up a little bit, and we'll get a Warp Prism to go for a 4-gate Blink Stalker Adept attack. Like, not a lot of time, but if he can find just a little bit of this respite from the harassment and stuff, where things are going wrong, maybe I can believe in DisK's ability to start turning things around a little.
Like, the unit that I've struggled against him the most is when he goes for these Blink Stalker, like, attacks and what have you. Obviously, this is starting from a massive deficit here.
Yeah.
Hasn't started his 3rd, by the way. Like, he's up to 800 minerals here. What's he doing? What's he focusing
I mean,
he's also going to be super supply blocked here. Like, only just now started off this pylon. Like, so Ravi, as much as we can look at this and be like, yeah, MaSa's playing great, it's also it's just a bit of a dysfunctional Protoss. It's not lining up as good as it should be.
No, I'm 100% with you. I don't want to make it sound like, DisK was playing the best StarCraft of his life before this game, and then MaSa came around and turned him over. Like, no, this is this is kind of a funny fight from MaSa. He's going to lose pretty much all of his bio over here. This is some good micro over here from DisK Stalkers. But, like, imagine if that fight was happening and just wasn't super far behind before all of this. That was actually turning into like a kind of interesting fight for DisK, but at the end of the day, there's just a little bit too much there for MaSa.
MaSa took that fight like a proper alpha Chad, man. Like those tanks, they never even thought about sieging up. He was like, oh, you're blink microing? Okay, I'll medevac micro. And if we look at the resources lost tab as well, I mean, MaSa's he's looking fresh, man. He's looking clean, and this gets over. He's like, wait, you've got a 3rd as well? Oh. You've got really good army against what I have. Yeah, this is so brutal for DisK, man, because whatever he prepped, he's just not being able to show it just yet.
A Depth Shade on into the natural, but there's already a handful of bio units over here, so DisK should be able to get maybe like 4 or 5 workers at most, but no, not even going to be able to get those. The medevac comes in to heal the SCVs. The micro is good. And MaSa is just getting further and further ahead. He's going to have his +1 armor actually finishing up in a little bit as well. So he may even have that in time for around the time that this push hits. Maybe not even the 3rd base, maybe the natural if the game lasts that long.
Yeah, I'm not going to sugarcoat it super hard. Like, I think I'm looking forward to the next game, because no matter what DisK tries to do from here, it's gonna be really tough to get anything going because he's so far behind. But
100%.
I want to see him just maybe ask for a moment just to recompose a little bit. He will be taking this fight, and he does have a lot of charge lots, but
nice fight.
Mate, his army just melted.
Yeah. I remember there were some Zelts there before that fight. Prism not even nearby to help out with a little bit of like pickup micro for the Immortals or anything. Yeah, this is getting rougher and rougher right now, Ben. Even though he's cleaning up the tanks, even though he is pushing this army back, at the end of the day, the Zealots disappear, and so does the Immortal. And so does DisK. MaSa goes up 2-0 in this best of 5 with just dominating performance for MaSa and kind of a rough performance there for DisK so far.
Yeah, it's rough, man. It's rough because a lot of this stuff as well, just like seeing an engineering bay block or seeing a proxy. These things aren't like, oh my, this isn't like Soul doing a 3 racks 1 base or, you know, that kind of stuff. It's like, this is stuff that you run into all the time. And a lot of it's just, it feels like DisK just hasn't had the right mindset yet. But yeah, we're going into the 3rd game, which will be, let's have a look at what map we're in here. But yeah, I just hope that DisK can find himself, because he is a really good player. Like this, this isn't indicative of how he's played the season or how he is as a player. Like this is him. Yeah, it's. I don't want to be mean, because he's a lot better than what we're seeing here. Yeah.
No, I think it's a really good point. DisK has been this year like one of the biggest up-and-comer names. He's one of the players that has, I think, grown the most between last year and this year in the North American scene. And I really do think that he is an extremely strong player that has shown a lot of capabilities, especially as like a standard macro kind of player. Like that's where I think he hits a lot of his stride. And the fact that he has not been able to really play his best makes it look especially bad, because he's not playing his best in the early game. He falls really far behind. He doesn't even get to play his strong suit at all. So things look even worse there.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to see what he can bring this next game, because Romanticide, this is the defensive map. Like this is the map that you can get up to a 3-base setup, which that's a good sign. Like, and it's a very good 4-gate Blink Stalker map. Like super good for that. Like given it's got that huge legend to the main base, but yeah, we'll see what happens here. Like MaSa, he's come prepared, man. Like he looks so confident in the way that he's playing these games. He just looks sharp.
Yeah, his lack of confidence is his confidence, Ben, I'm telling you. But down here in the bottom right-hand side of the map, Romanticide, we do have our blue Protoss player looking to bring this series back. He is Root Gaming's DisK.
And spawning over in the top left-hand side as our Red Terran up to no good, and yet again, it is MaSa.
Yeah, man. MaSa, I think he's living really the good life right now, where I think he did really come into this kind of saying, yeah, no pressure. And I think the reason why MaSa can do this kind of like crazy, just all-ins and proxies every game and doing this shenanigans is that he really does feel like, yeah, you know what? Whatever happens, happens. And he can basically YOLO a lot of this stuff. He's living the good life. He's, you know, enjoying life. He celebrated his 1-year wedding anniversary last month. He's been chilling. He's been watching some StarCraft and having a good time, man.
He's having a good time. And I wonder, like, DisK scouted around his base a little bit to check if there was anything going on. And he gets up here. He's like, oh, there's no barracks here again. A little bit of a head tilt, a little bit of a smile. And yeah, he's building the Zealot, but now he has to identify what he's actually up against here.
Yeah. You know what's funny? Whenever you talk about the reactions on DisK and his camera, it just makes me think, man, there's the smile and everything as he sees, oh my God, again, he's doing it again. It just makes me remember, yeah, DisK really, the streamer life has been ingrained into him. His reactions are so visceral.
Yeah, and you know, some people, like their reactions, I don't understand. Like, if I see Cyril tilting, like rubbing his hair and stuff, which happens, and Neeb as well, or muttering away to themselves, they both do that. It doesn't. I always still have confidence in them, but this is this is pretty next level actually. And now he's got this bunker at the bottom of his ramp, and oh man, like I'm such a fan of anti-prep builds. I really am, but I feel like MaSa, give him a bone here, mate. Give him a bone, because this is just brutal.
The best thing I can say that is going for DisK right now is that he has a probe inside of MaSa's main base. And MaSa, oh no, never mind. MaSa found it.
He found it, puts a depot next to it. He's like, oh, you wanna build here too, mate? Well, this
hide in a different corner.
Okay.
You won't find this one.
So everything that DisK does from here, this isn't what he had planned. This isn't what he wanted to perform in front of everybody back at home.
Yeah.
He's got to rely on instinct here and a bit of freestyling. Like, he's getting a full scout of what's going on. He knows when the factory is done, so he don't have to worry about too much, but he's going for a 3-gate one base Robo, which we'll see what he can do with that.
In the meanwhile, he's still also got to bust out of here. The shield battery definitely helps out quite a bit. The SCV gets target fired down, but the Zealot is going to end up falling over. He calls down a mule. I think that must have been a misclick, right?
I don't know, mate.
Even if you were going to repair, you wouldn't call it over there. Was a misclick. Yeah, he does confirm. Not a man removal. I think DisK knows MaSa is not that kind of guy.
I think that that was nice. That was nice.
Yeah.
I didn't. Yeah. I mean, you know, I've got a story with Nina one time. One time I knew Nina was tilting against me and I dropped a mana mule on her. And this is back when she's formerly known as Puck. And I knew that she was a tilter, you know, I knew she was a tilter. And she was like, why did you do that? And I'm like, well, I knew you'd react. Like, I knew it would get in your head, but MaSa's way nicer a person than I am. Yeah, it's... Oh, this is so rough. This is so rough for DisK, man. Like, even this barracks here, it's just an uncomfortable game.
It really is. This barracks here is... This is the epitome of MaSa, actually. So, like, when he will just be the guy who will land the barracks inside your main. But hey, DisK is returning the favor. Lands a few stalkers into the main base over here of MaSa. The Cyclone does get a lock onto the Warp Prism. Warp Prism not really getting out of lock-on range. It only loses shields over here, though, so still really well controlled so far from DisK. He is actually up double the army supply of MaSa right now, and MaSa still waiting for that first tank, but with more stalkers getting warped in, this might actually be the big opportunity over here.
That tank wandered way too far forward there. MaSa? Oh, picking off the tank. This is huge. Actually, this could be the comeback that DisK needs, for real. Like, I think he's going to do this.
Yeah, I mean, if there's just no units, there's nothing you can do. DisK takes a game, finally puts one on the board, even after a really, really bad start. DisK finds the window of opportunity over there with some good pickoffs in the Warp Prism micro.
Actually, yeah, that was okay. To say that I have been, you know, I've been critical of DisK, I really have, but that was not prepared from him at all. And the fact that it worked so well, and he knew how to get in the base, and he utilized things that he probably had planned as well. Like that is a good 4-gate Blink Stalker map. He utilized the ledge getting in that base, and it was very nicely played by him and very nicely handled. That might be the absolute confidence boost that he needs.
Well, guys, we are going to be going to our standard 3-minute break over here. We'll see who the break ends up favoring. Will it be DisK, who's able to try and start turning this series around, or will it be MaSa halting a bit of that momentum DisK just built up? We'll see and find out in just a little bit. Don't go anywhere. A very interesting start to the series thus far, and now we are in a kind of odd position. Ben, we do have those 3-minute breaks after game 3. Very, very standard. We always end up doing those. It's going to be kind of funny to see how game 4 ends up shaking out over here, because in one hand, maybe this is the break that DisK needs to collect himself. On the other hand, DisK finally just won a game, and maybe it'll halt some of that momentum. I'm interested to see whatever way the wind blows on this one.
Yeah, now I'm actually genuinely like, I'm almost rooting for DisK. I'm like, come on, DisK, come on. Like, I really want to do well. Anyhow, spawning over in the bottom left-hand side, representing Storm Gaming, it is MaSa. And I apologize for coming across a little biased there. I also think MaSa's playing incredibly well. I think we got a series now in our hands.
Absolutely do. Now that this guy has been able to put one on the board, we'll see what he can bring out here on Blackburn. He is the Blue Protoss player, DisK from Rook Gaming.
You know what's brutal as well for him? Like, he's been so diligent with sending out a probe kind of early to scout around for things.
Yeah.
So like, the fact that he kind of either missed the SCV coming for a block, like an engineering blade block, or missed the proxy and stuff like that, like, because look how thorough he's being this game as well. Like, he really is being quite clinical.
And you know what's going to be really, really sad to see is potentially a DisK will now send his probe across the map, see no command center, go up to the top of the ramp, see no barracks. I'm just going to wait if he has the same reaction on his camera when it's actually just a barracks that's frankly in a normal position. He did catch wind of the SCV. That is such a nice relief there, because the fact that he's been falling behind in all these games to the proxy racks and stuff really, really does make it important that he can just identify, okay, the racks is not proxy this game. I do not need to overreact because my reactions haven't been working out before.
Yeah, this is actually super good for DisK. And when I say super good, the fact that he hasn't been thrown off by this, because the Terran is obviously hoping for Purse to make a sell-out, to really kind of overreact to the whole thing, whereas like MaSa obviously has that barracks in a kind of weird location, but it's still in his natural, and Blackburn isn't really a map where you can just be like, oh yeah, you have to float into the main now, right? No, none of that. But now we've got DisK on equal footing. He gets to know exactly what he's up against, and that's the kind of game that he wants to play.
Yeah, funny enough, I think we actually just saw that MaSa was sending his Marine down just to look for a potential proxy or something, which I don't think is necessarily something that DisK is super well known for doing. But you do keep in mind the fact that DisK spent a lot of time with that probe scouting around. For MaSa's perspective, he'll just see the probe coming and kind of laying. It's like, are you getting fed up with me and trying to cheese me or proxy void raid me or something? But no, nothing of the sort. We do have a Twilight Council on the way behind all this for DisK, though.
Yeah.
Oh, MaSa.
I was kind of worried. Do you think he's going to go for this round on this? I think he is.
Yeah.
This is actually super smart by MaSa.
Oh, this is going to really, really hurt to lose this Adept. He's not even going to be able to get one of the Marines in exchange for it.
I am going to steal that, because that was that was actually very, very cute by MaSa, and just the bait and switch almost. Like, it was very, very nicely done. And on a map like this where you do have that ramp outside as well, but MaSa's clever. He's really clever.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, Ben, because StarCraft 2 is a strategy game and all that stuff. But I do feel like we oftentimes focus a lot on like mechanics and execution and a lot of that stuff. And of course, those are very, very important. But I do think it's kind of funny. There's like aspects, for example, in fighting games where they call, I don't know if you know, like Yomi is what they call it, but like basically it's like mind reading, or like be able to read your opponent and predict what they're going to do. And you're doing things that are not optimal plays, but they super duper hard counter prepare for whatever your opponent might try to do. And doing those little setups like that, I think that is where MaSa really hits a stride as a player. And well, this probe is going to actually be coming in at a nice time, because it'll scout out and see not only the Marines, but a handful of SCVs pulled with nothing to repair over here, Ben. Just bunkers to build.
You know, DisK, his third base, like, hasn't started yet, and he has Blink on the way. Even though MaSa's ahead in supply, and DisK might be, I want to say, maybe overreacting a little bit to this, as long as he waits for Blink, and he's buying time for these shield batteries as well, I think he's actually going to be able to hold this off.
He does have to be a little bit careful not to let that tank in range of the one pylon that's powering both shield batteries, the gateway, and the robo. But he's been doing a nice job of it, like you said, so far. MaSa really wants to keep that medevac alive, not just for healing potential. It's actually his only way of getting high ground vision right now.
So he's blinking out these stalkers. Bit of a weird blink. Ooh. Nice scan by MaSa, seeing what the plan is, and boom, that tank gets it to safety. Okay. So he's buying time with the sentries. Sentry, that's a weird play.
Yeah, it's going to reduce his firepower quite a bit. The siege tank number 1 is going to end up falling over there in exchange for 1 or 2 of these, I believe, the stalkers. Immortal is now on out. Shield battery overcharge just come forward, and we see that the Immortal, oh god, he actually gets the target fire alongside the stalkers, but a lot of the stalkers end up dying in the process. What a weird series of exchanges there.
Oh, the Liberator in the main, though, that's going to be dealing quite a bit of damage, and DisK, throughout all of this, he's been relying on only 2 gateways, which, those stalkers and MaSa, he's piling on so much pressure.
Yep. Focus firing down. The sentry is able to get that. A handful of the SCVs do end up falling over there, so no more bunkers, no more repair on the bunker either. MaSa says, I have done enough damage between the Liberator as well as just the pickoffs on some, very, very important units like the sentries. He feels like he can back off over here. It is kind of a dangerous game, though. It's not easy to just run away versus Blink Stalkers.
It certainly isn't, but getting a few... oh, my god, got 3 Stalkers. Okay, the tank. That's actually pretty big. I mean, obviously some misplays by MaSa here, and he doesn't have a hell of a lot. In fact, okay, he's producing... Wait, he's up to 4 barracks, but it's like 3 naked barracks. He's really struggling to get out units here.
Well, 4 stalkers on their own are not going to be able to do a whole lot at the front. If DisK had been able to afford like 1 more round of reinforcements, which he kind of has to have more reinforcements back at home to deal with the Liberator that's harassing. And that Liberator is going to be able to not only have killed those 2 workers, but I think it actually did kill an extra stalker or so. So nicely done by MaSa forcing the recall. It also gives him time to now get up the 2nd siege tank and probably not have to worry nearly as much about the stalkers blinking into his main and harassing him there.
No, definitely not. And so behind this, what's MaSa doing? He's got, so he did go up to 4 barracks here. He's obviously got 1 at his natural as well. Very, very solid setup, getting stim, combat shields +1. Definitely cost him quite a bit to do all that kind of stuff. DisK, on the other hand, he's getting the Robo Bay ready. He's getting charge after the blink and what have you. Got 2 Immortals out, a few Stalkers and what have you. I do still like this for MaSa. Like, DisK did a good job of holding that off. Just, again, it was a bit of one of those situations where he didn't get to do what he wanted to do, and his probe count did take a massive hit.
It really did. We're back. I feel like this is game 1 again, right? The situation where the Terran player is at even or up in workers compared to the Protoss player, and it's just not where you want to be as a Protoss player. Now, DisK is going to have I was going to say a nicely positioned observer, but MaSa spots it out. At least DisK does confirm the timing of this move out. He knows that it's coming. He has another observer actually getting ready just to spot out and see the SCV pull. If the observer can catch wind of the SCV pull, that is a big deal. The observer, I think, it saw a glimmer of an SCV as he unsieges, and now he sees all the SCVs confirmed.
He certainly does. And there isn't one Colossi out just yet. It will be out very, very shortly. MaSa, he's going for it. And that is a big, big bundle of red.
Oh, there's nothing protecting the Colossus right now outside the shield battery, but it looks like the shield battery plus the force fields are enough. The Zealots come charging on forward. The SCVs on the front lines trying to tank a lot of that damage. Siege tank not quite able to get the vision, I think, to attack the Colossus. He finally does, and there just aren't that many gateway units left over, but another round of stalkers warping in the natural. The Immortals instead gonna be the target over here for MaSa. The siege tank gets blunk on, but there's another siege tank further behind it. An extremely chaotic engagement. At the end of the day, it does seem like DisK has a few units in the natural, but just not enough to actually protect against MaSa's army.
I mean, I can't believe this worked out for him, honestly. I thought DisK might have it at any point, and the SCV is battling with the probes in the north as well. I mean, DisK has given it everything he has. He's pulled all his probes as well just to fight, but probes against Bio, they do not fare well.
Really, really excellently played over here by MaSa. Even after he got scouted and everything, he still made the correct calls there. A nice clap there from MaSa.